Alright, so we are live and hopefully nothing goes wrong like last time. Last time when I did the Herman Pass live stream, I need to restart that like 3 times because my OBS had like an encoder problem or something, and that was really annoying. So, you know, let's hope that there's no issues this time, but I'm pretty sure I fixed everything, so that should be all right. Yeah. Also, my zipper's always banging on the table, so that's kind of mildly annoying, but that's whatever. But let's see, is everything good? Yeah, I mean, I'll hide my face after I'm done the intro. But, hi, welcome. So, we're going to go over the third type of pass, which, if you didn't know, yes, it did indeed exist. It's called the free turn pass. So, yeah, that's what the free turn pass is. But, essentially, the free turn pass, I think it's called that. So, it was originally named the free turn pass by Bruce Cervon, how do you pronounce English? Okay, that's yeah, English is not my forte, even though it's one of my native languages, but you know, English. But yeah, so it's coined by Bruce Cervon, whatever. So Bruce Cervon named it the free turn pass. I'm not sure why. He never explicitly stated why he named it the free turn pass, but I do think they named it the free turn pass because the deck does move independently from the packet that's being shifted or passed. So that's why I think it's being called the free turn pass. But generally, yeah, the name doesn't really matter. It's called the free turn pass. So yeah. So there's a couple of advantages and disadvantages that are similar to that aren't necessarily like different from normal passes, but it is different enough that it is I want to say that it stands on its own. Let's just say that. So it does have its own list of advantages and disadvantages that I think makes it stand out. Yeah. So yeah, let's go over them. So for advantages or pros, if you want to call it that, so the pass this pass in particular can actually be done in 2 separate actions. So let me just check. All right, so if you can, if you've done like the classic pass or the Herman pass, usually your hand needs to stay together, or yeah, they both need to stay together to do the pass in one motion, right? You can't necessarily do the classic pass in 2 motions because both hands need to be together to complete the action. But with the free turn pass, you can actually do the pass in 2 steps. You can do the steal in one action and then the pass in the second action. So you can break it up into 2 separate actions, which I think is a huge advantage in terms of functioning, right? And because you can break the pass in 2 separate actions, both hands don't need to be together for an awkward amount of time. So usually if you're doing like a Herman pass, you need to do this, right? So both hands need to be together for an awkward amount of time. But for a free turn pass, you know, you can just handle things loosely and then do the pass. So that's an advantage of the free turn pass as well. The third advantage of a free turn pass is that it can be used to preserve a stock of cards. So obviously other passes do that as well, but for the free turn pass, you know, it's you can do it from top to bottom. So you can pass the top stock to the bottom, or the bottom stock to the top, bottom stock to the top, or the bottom stock to the bottom. So again, it maintains the same position, or the top stock top stock to the top as well. So that's an advantage of the free turn pass. But there are also some advantages that I'm not the biggest fan of for a free turn pass. So it only works on a smaller stock of cards. So in case that you want to do a half a deck pass, so like usually if you do a pass, you would be able to do it with half the deck. So the classic pass, the Herman pass, you can do both of those with a half of the deck. There we go. But with the free turn pass, you can't really do that. You have to you have to do it with like 10 or 20 cards in max, or else it will be noticeable. So that is a disadvantage of the free turn pass. But yeah, the other disadvantage of the free turn pass is that it is significantly less fast than the classic pass. So if you've seen the classic pass before, it is pretty fast. It is just that, right? So there's not really like I want to say there's not really a delay, but obviously there is some sort of delay. But with the free turn pass, you do need to have it is extremely slow in terms of a pass, so that's another huge disadvantage for the free turn pass. But with that out of the way, let's get into the history of the free turn pass, because it is history, so I do want to go over that. So the free turn pass, it was actually first published by Marlo. First, I know, surprise, Marlo does everything first, but it was first published by Marlo under the name of Unconventional Passes. So he didn't really give this slate a name. He just tossed it in a category called Unconventional Passes. So it was alongside something like a reverse longitudinal shift, which I just did. So that's that. But it was published in Marlo's Magazine Volume 5, which was published in 1984. So that's where the first apparent publication of the free turn pass came from. But Bruce Cervon published the Cervon free turn pass. That's where the name came from, in Ultra Cervon in 1990. So yeah, and in that list in that book he published like some variation, some utility moves using the free turn pass, and some other stuff, right? So that's where the bulk of the free turn pass comes from. And yeah, so that's generally it for like the main like publication history of the free turn pass. But I do also want to add throw in my own 2 cents. So I highly doubt that Marlo or Cervon actually came up with the free turn pass. I actually think that gamblers actually came up with the free turn pass before either of them. So there's actually a reason why I think that. Well, obviously, the classic pass is used by gamblers, I do believe. I mean, Erdnase has a section on the classic pass in Expert at the Card Table, I believe. And so the free turn pass, who wouldn't want to keep a stock of cards? I mean, if you're going to steal a stock of cards, then naturally you can give there's going to be a natural, like, you're going to notice that there's going to be less. But if you're working with a partner, technically they can shuffle the deck really quickly, hand it back to you, and then you could preserve a stock of cards. And as long as you hand it out to a partner who knows, like, who can feel the thickness, I think that it makes sense that gamblers would use it before magicians. So, and I mean, we've seen things similar to the free turn pass in gambling stuff before. I mean, if we look at Gambling Sleight of Hand by Steve Forty, there's the palm hinge shift and there's also the side to side shift. It's not exactly the same, but it does accomplish, I want to say it is similar in nature to the free turn pass. And that's why I doubt that Marlo or Cervon came up with this first. But that's my own 2 cents. But yeah, with that, we can get into the basic mechanics of the free turn pass. All right, so I'm actually going to start with the Marlo handling of the free turn pass before. So since it's the easier one and it's also the one that came first. So yeah. So as with all the other shifts, you want to start off with a break, but you're going to want to start off with a smaller packet. So this time it's 10 to 15 cards or 10 to 20 cards. So it's a smaller packet. So you're going to have a pinky break above of that packet. So usually, yeah, so that's your pinky break. This is exaggerated. Don't do this. But next up, your right hand is going to come over and grip the deck in a biddle grip. So yeah, so middle finger, ring finger, and pinky finger are covering the front edge, and your index is covering the deck, is curled over the deck, and your thumb is contacting the back edge of the deck. Next, well, basically, it's going to be hard to explain, but so now the bottom packet is basically moving independently of the top packet. So I'll just remove the top packet. Basically, what this is going to do is that your left hand wrist is just going to rotate clockwise. So it's just going to do this. And so without the bill grip covering it, this is what it's doing. So now it's actually exposing its upper right corner over here. Sorry, I'll just focus it real quick. Right, so it's actually exposing the upper right corner over here. Right, and that's all covered by your right hand. So this is the position that you should be in. So you can see that there is a nice angle jog like so, and you can see that the corner isn't necessarily offset from the rest of the deck. So it's mainly just the right corners that are offset. So over here. So take notice of this position. But it's underneath the cover of your right hand, and because of the angle jog, well, this corner naturally lands on where your pinky is supposed to be. So you're basically going to clip this corner in between of your pinky and your ring finger. So over here, and it's actually going to be clipped over here. You actually don't see it because I'm actually clipping it, yeah. But just in case that you're like me, so you can see that I do have massive windows over here because my fingers are extremely bony. Then you should supposedly clip the packet where there's the most flesh. So in my case, it's over here. So you shouldn't clip it over here. So you can see that there's a huge window over there. If I clip cards by there, you can see that actually, it kind of shoots out a bit. So that's not ideal. So that's why I really do like to clip cards more or less here. So yeah, but if your fingers aren't bony like mine and you can clip cards over here, then I highly do recommend you to clip cards over here. So yeah. So once again, I'll get a break underneath the bottom 10-20 cards, and then I'll just and then as my right hand is gripping the top packet in a bill grip, I'm going to rotate my wrist clockwise, and then I'm going to grip this corner with my pinky and ring finger. So now it is in a clipped position like so. So underneath it looks like this. And your middle finger is just sort of like, it's not really gripping it. It's just kind of there for support, more or less. So, right. So once again, you have a break above 10 or 20 cards from the bottom. Here, you're going to rotate your wrist clockwise until this corner over here contacts your pinky and your ring finger, and it gets clipped like so. Now, what you can do, what Marlo does is that he actually releases pressure with his thumb. So this causes this packet to sort of just launch away. So you do want to be wary of your angles in this case, because if it actually launches more downwards, then you're going to be exposed in this case from the bottom. So if I was like this, and then this packet suddenly launched forward, you can see sort of like the shadows change. So if I actually, sorry, this is sort of a hard angle, but if I was like this, and suddenly you could, I release pressure, you can see that the bottom packet does drop down a lot. So you do want to be wary of that. So in this case, you do, as you release pressure with your thumb, you do sort of want to tilt your hand a bit downwards, right? So normally, if your angle wasn't already tilted downwards, then you do want to tilt your hand downwards, sort of like that, right? So this deck covers most of your angles. So now that you have the deck in this, this packet sort of loose and your middle finger is sort of contacting it, Now your thumb is going to go on the inside, on the inner right edge of the deck, and it's just going to spin it outwards like so. So once again, you have the packet gripped in your clip position or whatever, and now you're just going to drop it. Release pressure with your thumb, so then it just sort of drops downwards. And now you can stick your thumb in between of the gap of the packets, so now it contacts the inner right edge like so. And now you're just going to shift it, rotate it outwards like so. And now what this means for you is that you can transfer this middle finger pressure into a sort of like, you can relax your index finger, so now it sort of curls over the what was it called, the upper left corner over here. So this sort of just relaxes over there. So this is just sort of a relaxed grip. So if you continue to do this, that's more of a Cervon thing. So Marlo, the main difference between the Marlo thing and the Cervon thing in terms of grip is more or less just whether it's the middle finger gripping it or the index finger. In this case, it is the index finger that's sort of contacting it, and all the other fingers are just sort of curled in around the packet. So it's more or less this, right? So it's similar to a master palm, but not really. So, and your thumb is just sort of hanging out by the side. It doesn't really apply that much pressure. So yeah, again, this the main pressure, the main fingers that are applying pressure is the middle and ring finger. All the other fingers are just there for support. So yeah. And the very next thing you're going to do is that your right hand is going to come over and it's just going to cover this packet like so, almost like it's going back in a billow grip. And as you're going to do that, it's going to replace the packet back on top, and now you can freely release the pressure with your middle, with your ring and pinky finger, and then you can replace it back on top. So yeah, I'll just go over all the motions again. So you could have a break below of 10 or 20 cards, well, above 10 or 20 cards, like so. Next, you're going to grip the upper portion of the deck, so everything above the break, in a bill grip, and then you could just rotate everything that's below that's above of the break clockwise. So then this corner becomes exposed. So now you could clip everything with your with your ring and pinky finger. I don't know why I keep saying middle. Next, you're going to drop this packet downwards by releasing pressure with your thumb. And then your left thumb goes ahead and slips into the right long edge of the deck, which then allows you to rotate the deck out. And then you could just simply replace the packet on top as you square everything up. And that's the general gist of the Marlo handling of the free turn pass. And I'll just drink some water first. All right. So, just a fun fact. I know that most people don't have access to this one. So, just a fun fact is that apparently it is badly drawn. So the last step of the Marlo unconventional pass is actually badly drawn. So just as a fun fact, the picture actually shows this bottom packet being slipped back underneath of the deck, which is kind of interesting because the instructions tell you to slip it back on top, but here they just tell you to slip it back on the bottom. And it's also interesting because you don't do anything with the deck, you're just slipping it back on the bottom. So that's just like a weird drawing error. So that's just a fun fact I wanted to talk about. So, oh, that's my phone. But yeah, so So that should be it for the Marlo handling. Generally, it's very direct. It's just a steel, and then you just replace it. Oh, I just knocked my tripod. But yeah, it's just a steel, and then it's just a replacement. Sorry, not that one. That's my variation. But yeah, a rotate out, and then a replacement. So very simple, nothing too difficult in terms of a pass. So it is very different from what we perceive as a pass, but it is a pass. Now for the Cervon, Bruce Cervon variation. I keep butchering his name. I'm not even sure if that's how you pronounce it. But the Bruce Cervon variation of the move is pretty different. So, well, not really different. It is, yeah, but it is different enough that it merits its own section. So generally, the Cervon handling is widely the same up until the rotate out. So there's also give a few details on the move. So Bruce Cervon actually tells you to bend the packet after you're done dropping this out of view. So he tells you to do this to hide the thickness of the packet, because if you're actually looking at it, you can actually see that the thickness is indeed a lot smaller than before. I mean, 10-20 cards doesn't sound like a lot, but if you think about it, 20 cards is it's almost going to be half of the deck. So you do want to pay attention to the thickness, and that's why he tells you to bend the packet just a bit to avoid flashing the thickness of the deck. So it's essentially going to be this the exact same thing as the Marlo in terms of removing the deck. So here, was it? Yeah, okay, so yeah, so essentially Bruce Cervon actually hides the motion of the pass underneath of a all-around square up. So if you're not aware of a all-around square up, it's essentially just something like this. And the action of an all-around square up is meant to, hide a certain slight if you want, and it's also meant to, square up, show that the deck is squared up from all sides for a spectator. So again, this is just overproving or whatever, but again, it's whatever. So essentially what you're going to do is that you're going to do the same exact thing as the Marlo thing, except you're going to bend the packet just to hide the thickness, and generally your left hand should always be in contact of the deck. So after you're done doing the steal, as the packet drops, you're going to rotate your left hand counterclockwise. So your wrist sort of rotates counterclockwise, and it uses the index finger as a pivot point. So now you have now you're rotating your wrist, and now you're grabbing the deck in the same position as the Marlo deck removal position. But you'll notice that Bruce Cervon actually explicitly tells you to extend your pinky, ring, and middle finger to hide the thickness of the deck, and also hide this packet from the left side. So over here you can see that my left hand is hiding this packet. All right, and these fingers aid the illusion of a complete packet. So now you're gripping it from this position. And what you're going to do next is where this move differs the most from the Marlo handling. So now what you're going to do is that you're actually going to press this packet up into the crotch of your thumb. Basically, that's basically what's happening. You're basically going to snap it into this position as it rotates clockwise. So again, I'll just do it. You have your steal over here. You rotate your wrist counterclockwise as your fingers extend out to hide this packet and the thickness of this packet. So now you're just going to snap the deck into the crotch of your thumb as it rotates. So as it rotates clockwise. So it's sort of doing this, but just around of your around of your right hand. So as it's doing that, right, this packet over here is basically going to slide upwards. And as it slides upwards, it's going to hit your thumb over here. Oops, sorry. So also, just an additional detail, when it snaps over here, your thumb should be covering this long edge of the deck over here. So again, it's from the back, but again, Bruce Cervon wanted to have complete angle control over this move. So that's why he wanted to have this thumb cover everything up. So then it would hide the thickness of the deck from the back, right? So your right hand is just sort of there. It's just sort of resting on your left hand, but while your left thumb is covering the thickness of the deck over here. So now that it is in the crotch of your thumb, you're just sort of rotating it downwards as this packet sort of rides up of the deck and hits this thumb. So now you're in this sort of inverted 7 position, if my camera would focus. All right, so now you're in this sort of inverted 7 position, and now this allows your left thumb to act as a hinge, so then you could close the packet, and then you could regrip everything in the right hand middle grip as your left thumb goes alongside the edge to square everything up. So there is quite a bit of few things going on. So I'll start from the drop down. So both hands are together, you displace the upper packet and you steal it. And then you're going to release pressure with your thumb, so then this packet drops downwards. You're then going to rotate your wrist counterclockwise, and you're going to extend your fingers so that it covers every single angle, and your thumb is contacting the inner right long edge of the deck. Next, you're going to start rotating the deck sort of downwards, and you're going to basically pin this packet against the crotch of your thumb, like so. And you're going to extend your left thumb so then it hides the entirety of the deck. Next, you're going to continue this motion, and your right hand is going to slide this packet upwards. So then it hits the thumb, allowing you to create a hinge and basically an upside down 7, which now allows you to close the packet with the rest of with the stolen packet as your left thumb goes and drags along the left edge to square everything up. So that was a lot of information. Again, I mean, if you're not sure about anything, you can go ahead and rewatch it, but generally I think that yeah, so it's meant to emulate, so it is meant to have a one smooth motion, sort of like that, right? I mean, I don't do it that smoothly because I don't really do this handling of the free turn pass all that much. There we go. Yeah, so it's supposed to be more or less like that. So yeah. Oh god, I forgot to say something, but right, so the Cloyes Palm. So unlike the Marlo handling of the move, what Bruce Cervon does is actually a Cloyes Palm. It's Cloyes palm. So it's basically a lateral palm, but instead of so what Marlo does was that he actually had his index finger curled around the upper left corner of the deck. What Bruce Cervon does is something that's more similar to a lateral palm, in that he actually has the deck in a sort of, the middle finger is contacting the deck, so he has it in a sort of disc grip, like so. I know I probably should have taught that before I taught the rest of the move, but you know, that's that. So with that knowledge, I mean, it's largely the same, right? I mean, the only difference is now you have a proper reference point for the move. So yeah. But let's get into a minor finesse of the move. So I was never really the biggest fan of this rotating action, especially when it came to Marlo's handling. So what I just did was something that's extremely simple, nothing that is extravagant, is that since this packet is now removed, well, this exposes the upper left corner of the deck, which now allows me to clip this upper left corner with my index finger and my thumb. So now I could just remove it, and then I could just release pressure with my index and thumb, dropping it into a standard dealer's grip. And yeah, that's that. I don't need to have this weird swivel action as seen by Marlo. So that's just a minor finesse on my part. So, and then the rest of the, sorry, voice crack. And then the rest of the stolen packet can just be resting there in whatever grip that you want. Personally, I do really like Marlo's because it's more relaxed. It's just something like that. It's why I like the Master Palm so much. If you do Cervon's Cloyes, I don't know how to pronounce it. If you do it, you'll notice that your middle finger is abnormally elongated. So I'm not the biggest fan of this palm, especially when it's removed from the deck. But if it's on the deck, then it's fine. But with the deck, then, you know, I would prefer, if it's removed from the deck, then I do prefer Marlo's handling, like so. So when I was talking about a two-part action, I do mean that it's a two-part action. I do separate this the deck separation from the replacement. So in terms of the Cervon free turn pass, he does do it in one action, but I do prefer to do it in two actions. So there's a couple of ways that I like to handle this move. So the first one is actually just a gesture. So when you steal the packet out, you can be like, oh, hey, can you actually hold your hand out or whatever, right? So, you know, hold your hand out. So, and then as this hand comes back over, I can just replace it and then do whatever, right? So yeah, so this is just a gesture, or it can be a relaxation as well. So you can lean backwards and then come back and then square everything up. So you don't have to do everything in one single motion. You can do everything in an offbeat, right? I mean, that's what I love about this move, is that you don't need to do everything in one single motion. Everything can be broken down into two parts, right? There. So, and also one huge advantage is that if you're performing for someone who doesn't know cards, you can actually ask them to shuffle or cut the rest of the deck. So if I want to preserve this bottom stock, I can actually ask them to, oh, hey, can you cut the cards or can you shuffle them? And under the guise of handing them the deck, I actually steal off this packet. And here they can cut, or they can do whatever, they can shuffle. And here I can just replace this top packet, and then I preserve the stock. So I do really like this move, contrasting the classic pass or the Herman pass. It's just that it has different utilities. So I'll go over some covering actions for the move. So obviously you have your packet stolen. You can do a grip change. So in this case, you can do a dealer's grip to a biddle grip. So over here, I'm actually just going to re-grip into a biddle grip and then just set it aside or something, right? So nothing too fancy. So I have it in a dealer's grip, and then I just change it into a biddle grip and then pass it away, right? But I do have just a minor advice or detail. So when you have the deck separate from the rest of this packet, I do want to recommend that. Oh, right. So a free turn pass is actually, I don't know why I actually didn't see that, but a free turn pass is actually it's what I'm explaining right now. So it's actually a pass that can be done independent of the packet that you're trying to control. So in terms of a classic pass, you would be the packet is sort of stuck in its motion. So a Herman pass as well, I mean, it sort of needs to do a certain thing, so then the packet needs. So when a Herman pass or a classic pass does what it does, basically both packets need to execute the move to accomplish something. But with a free turn pass, the rest of the deck is sort of free. So with a free turn pass, this deck is moving independently of the pass of the packet that you're passing. So so your deck is basically free. That's why it's sort of called the free turn pass. So it's kind of moving on its own. So that's why it's called a free turn pass. So yeah. But yeah, so back to the details of the free turn pass. So once you've stolen this packet off, it is probably a good habit to have this deck sort of loose in your hand. So if you have everything in a squared up deck, you'll notice that everything that you'll perceive a change of depth. So if you have the deck like so, and you suddenly remove 10 cards, well, you can see that there is indeed a slight decrease in packet, right, in cards, right? But if you have everything in a relaxed grip and sort of spreads out, you'll notice that it does sort of hide the thickness of the deck. So over here, you'll notice that it is a lot less obvious when it comes to the quantity of the cards. And this works for the complete deck as well. So over here, and if I removed it, well, now it hides the quantity of the deck a lot better. So if you have this versus, sorry, this isn't the best angle, but if you had this versus this, you can tell that there's a decrease of cards. So when you do a free turn pass, I highly recommend that you really loosen up your grip, so then this lets you sort of hide the quantity of the cards a bit better. So the second covering action you could do for a free turn pass is that you can actually do a squaring action. So I do sort of do that for the bill grip, but you know, when you square everything up, you know, you can sort of square everything. So actually, I lost my train of thought. But when when both hands come together, you can actually have your left thumb drag alongside the left long edge like so, and your right finger square up on the right on the front edge like so. So then everything just sort of comes together, and you're not trying to hide everything that badly. So like so, right? And that is a squaring action as a covering action for the free turn pass. There's also a squaring action at the table. So pretend that you're doing magic at a table, and you're having and the deck is tabled like so. The great thing about Marlo's grip for the free turn pass is that you can actually transfer it to a gambler's flat palm. So if you're not familiar with a gambler's flat palm, it is something like this. So the card is held by your pinky and by your thumb like so. The other fingers don't really do much, so it's sort of like this. You can actually do it with a complete packet. So in this case, if you want to transfer it from the Marlo grip to a gambler's flat palm, you just need to apply pressure with your thumb and release pressure with your other fingers. So now just sort of in this relaxed grip like so. So after the spectator is done shuffling or done doing whatever, you can actually sort of do like a mucking action. So as your hand goes to pick everything up, you can release pressure with your thumb. So this clears out this packet. So now it's solely being gripped by your pinky. So now you can slide this packet underneath of the deck, and you could raise the deck upwards, face up to you, and you could square everything up and then proceed with whatever, right? So that's a way that you can preserve the bottom stock. So again, they do a cut or whatever, and here you just transfer it to a gambler's flat palm as you basically muck the deck and raise it up to you, and then you could do whatever, right? So that's just another covering action for the free turn pass. The next thing you can do is something that's more done in the hand. So for example, if you do it with so if you actually just did the free turn pass, you can actually cover it with a thumb fan. So here, as you replace it, you're going into a billow grip, but you're actually kicking the rest of the packet upwards, and then you could do a thumb fan. So here you have everything in a dealer's grip. As your right hand comes over, it kicks the rest of the packet upwards, and then does a thumb fan. So it is one big motion. So it's not replace and then thumb fan, it's more thumb fan, right? So the thumb fan is part of the replacement. So it's sort of like this, right? So it's not replace and then do this. It's one smooth motion. It's one smooth replacement, like so. So that's a thumb fan as a covering action for the free turn pass. The next thing is that you can actually just cap the deck. So capping the deck is just adding the top stock. It's just adding a stock that you're holding out on top of the deck. So after someone is done shuffling the deck, right, or whatever, and you have your packet stolen, you can just slap everything on top and just drag it towards you. It is extremely lazy, but it does work well. I mean, gamblers have done it, so, you know. But you're a magician, so, you know, that's a thing. So just do that, right? And just drag the deck towards you. So that's capping the deck if you want. But if you find that a bit too brutish for your liking, you can actually do a table spread. So pretend you have the deck on the table and your packet stolen. Well, now you can actually cap the deck, but instead of dragging it towards you, you can just spread the deck. And that's a covering action. So again, you have the deck in front of you, and rather than cap the deck, you can just do this, right? You can just spread the deck, and that hides the replacement. The very next, and that's it for covering actions, I think. I went through a whole lot of covering actions. So yeah, so there's the grip change. So you have it in a dealer's grip, and then you could move into a bill grip. You have it as a squaring action. So everything is loose in your hand, maybe even a bit messed up, and you just square everything up. You have a squaring action at the table with a gambler's flat palm, sort of like a muck sort of deal, right? A thumb fan, like so. A capping the deck after someone shuffles it or cuts it, right? So you just drag it towards you, like so. Or a table spread, right? So over here. And so those are all the covering actions that I could think of for a free turn pass. You don't have to necessarily be stuck with whatever Bruce Cervon does. So this thing. So yeah. So there are some applications for the move besides just a shift. So obviously there's the standard preserving a top or a bottom stock, which you can do. I mean, that's whatever, right? But you can also do it as a vanish. So for example, if you want to vanish this king of diamonds, well, boom, now it's gone and it's not on top. Just make sure that you don't flash these cards, right? So now it's not on top anymore. Woo, free turn pass. You also do it as a color change. So you can see that your card's not anywhere over here. So, and then now it suddenly changes, and yeah. Right, so you can do it as a color change. Bruce Cervon actually has a lot more applications. He uses it as a stop trick, as a production, as a multiple lift substitute, as a bottom palm, as a side steal, which was inspired by Jim Patton's side steal. So you go ahead and, well, you can't look at that anymore. But yeah, so there is a, I do think that some of the applications that Bruce Cervon gave to the move are kind of redundant. They kind of exist to have to give the move purpose rather than have the application be optimized, if that makes sense. So the applications exist because you want to give the move applications, if that makes sense. But yeah, so that's about it for the free turn pass. It is an exhausting move. It's yeah, I mean, it spoke a lot, and yeah. But for further reading, it's very difficult finding any resources. Oh wait, actually. So it's extremely difficult to find resources for the free turn pass because not many people do it. It's kind of annoying. But so all of the original resources for the free turn pass, why is it for the free turn pass are no longer in print. I mean, I know L Publishing actually published Ultra Cervon as a PDF at one point, but then they stopped publishing it for some reason, and it's just really annoying. So I can't really link it anywhere, so that's really annoying. But yeah, the other free turn pass that I do, which is Guy Hollingworth's free turn pass, it's also no longer in print, so that's again very annoying. So there's only 2 resources that I can give for the free turn pass, and they're barely resources, so it's kind of annoying. So talk about tricks issue 1, so by Joshua J and Vanishing Ink. There's a move by Jamie Kurtz called the Digital Revolve Pass, so you can go ahead and look that up if you have the money to, right? If an octopus could palm, there's 2 moves that are similar to a free turn pass, but they're for palming. So again, it's for a single card, so that's annoying again. So if an octopus could palm, Nautilus by Derek Delgadio is somewhat similar to a Guy Hollingworth free turn pass, if that makes sense. And also I can't pronounce it. Otocyst? I can't pronounce it. By Ricky Smith is free turn pass. It's based on Chuck Smith's option pass, which is again a free turn pass. So those are really the only 2 resources I can give for the free turn pass that are still in print. It's nobody else really does the move, so no one else has done work on the move or has done variations, so it's really hard to find resources on the move. But yeah, so that's pretty much it for the free turn pass. It's a pretty fun move. I do think that it has its own share of applications. I do think that it functions independently from a classic or a Herman pass. So even though it's called a pass, I do think that it accomplishes different things from the classic or the Herman pass. So you can go ahead and explore those. Just as a side note, I didn't teach the replacement to the bottom, or just like to the top, to the bottom, or whatever. So I didn't really teach those variations, but you know, you can go ahead and play around with those yourself. I mean, it doesn't really, they're not that different from what I just taught, so it's whatever, right? Now, this can be done with a single card, but I do think that resembles a side steal or a clip steal a bit too much, and I'm going to touch on that on a future video. So that's why I didn't really touch on that in this one. Otherwise, yeah, it can be done with a single card, and that's what Bruce Cervon does for his production using the free turn pass. So yeah. So if you're having trouble with the move, you can obviously go ahead and contact me in the comments down below. I'm more active on Instagram. Mark Mason or Dennis Bear actually do the Cervon variation a lot better. So if you have any video resources for them, go ahead and study up on them. Or you can go ahead and contact them too. I mean, you know, they're magicians. They're not celebrities. I'm pretty sure they're going to be happy enough to answer your questions. Just don't like bother them 24/7. So Mark Mason or Dennis Bear. So Dennis is DENISBEHR. Yeah. So that's Mark Mason, Dennis Bear. So you can go ahead and look up their videos on the free turn pass. They're just performance videos, but I do think that performance videos help you tremendously. So yeah, that's about it for the free turn pass. I'm very dehydrated. It's very dry these days. So yeah, that's about it. And so see you guys next time. If you guys want to, you know, the VOD's gonna stay up. I'm going to edit down this in 2 weeks. So yeah. Additional footage, slow-mo, it's all gonna be there. So yeah, see you guys next time.